Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. It is Wednesday night live. We got our normal crew here. I've got DKR in the background, but we got Eric Naleen, got Drew Kelson, got Justin Wells. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 10,000 subscribers before the season starts. Thank all of y'all for tuning in. Again, appreciate everybody who has been here and been here for been diehards with us. Speaking of, head to where the diehards should be. That's InsideTexas.com. Get the best practice reports, recruiting updates. It is a packed recruiting week, so you aren't going to want to miss any of the action. Head there now and head there to get all the best inside information, the best discussion. We answered a bunch of questions. Eric did that today over on the message board, so you are not going to want to miss out over on Inside Texas. And as always, we give first preference to questions to members on the Inside Texas message board. So got to throw this one to our guy, Drew Kelson, one that Eric has written about, and we'll get to that in a second. But we talked about Colt McCoy just the other day, talked about Vince Young today with it being 10 days until the season. And we always honor those big players, big time guys in the program. But Drew, should number 11 join those ranks? I know UT has the lost Dodsian standards, but should we say ignore those standards and raise number 11 to the rafters?
Personally, the answer is yes. There's no question about it. But I do think when you compare it to Vince, just going to a national championship, being a quarterback, I mean, when you compare it to Colt, those are the easy ones, right? I'm not going to say they're low-hanging fruit, but they balled out. It's hard. I mean, when you set a criteria for who should be on the defensive side of things, I mean, that's where you start. I don't know how you go anywhere else beyond that. And there are guys like Eric Johnson who, for me, I mean, he was the one who set the tone for the program and kind of got us seeing what it looks like to play linebacker well. And we saw nothing like him forever. We still haven't seen anything like him. So, yeah, hang it from the rafters, man. You got to get 11 in there.
Eric, I know you wrote about this, I think, last May. But just, for those who may not have seen that, I think you posted it in the thread for this on Inside Texas. But just what are your arguments for raising number 11 and making it 10, 11, 12 that's retired by the program?
I mean, he's easily the best defensive player I've ever seen for the Longhorns. I go back to watching since about 93. He was a game changer. He affected games like no other defensive player I've seen. The amount of turnovers he caused, the amount of range he had at linebacker. I love what he did in the NFL. It's like, when Jordan had to, and I know we should be talking about just what he did at Texas, but he refined his game. The knock on him coming out of college was he didn't take on blocks. Honestly, he would run around him because he was so athletic. He could do that. Well, he became a very, very fundamentally sound inside linebacker at Kansas City. It just goes to show that he could do absolutely anything. When he knocked out, he forced a fumble. I forget, was it against Michigan? And Keith Jackson called it the patented reach around. I mean, that's a reason to put him in the Hall of Honor right there. But yeah, I mean, Derek should obviously be in there. I think quarterbacks get too much love. I mean, obviously Vince, great, but when you talk about career, the start to finish career, he was good the second he stepped on the field, and he was great when he left it.
That's in Keith Jackson's words, that's definitely a whoa Nelly moment, but maybe for a little bit of a different reason. We'll get to one more question from the Inside Texas message board. And again, Drew, this one's great for you because you've experienced both of these. For fans who didn't grow up around the rivalry, so means probably people my age who kind of came into football consciousness right around 2012. How would you compare each of A&M and OU, I guess, as a rivalry goes? Drew, you played on the field against both. What's kind of the different vibes when you're, in the Cotton Bowl versus in College Station?
Oh man, the vibes. There's so many different angles to this because I've lived in Houston my whole life before this game, before going to Texas, and now after. Just difference between Houston and Dallas is you see so much more sooner everything in Dallas, whereas Houston. I mean, you got your Aggies everywhere, but when it comes up to the rivalry, they didn't feel different, especially at the end of the year. You get OU October, you know what's there. It's a neutral site, but there's always something on the line when you play A&M in your season, and there's always something on the line in that game, point blank period. You have to win that game. That game is every bit as serious, every bit as meaningful to me and anyone else I know as the OU game. Are the rivalries the same? Is the competition the same? Is it apples to apples in that regard? That's a completely different thing. But when it comes to someone, it is your job to absolutely beat every time you go out and play them. A&M is on that list with OU, and there's no question about it. The game itself, A&M was my top place to play on the road. I mean, as far as conference games that I played in while we were at Texas, A&M was at the top of the list, hands down, and there's no place like it. The hatred is there. We used to listen to their fight song the entire week prior to the game, and you're just hearing Saul Varsity's horns off the whole damn week. And like, wow, like there's an obsession that is just different. There's an obsession that is just different, and there's so much more to win because they're pissed off about it. They sing about you all year, even when you don't play against them. I'm telling you, beating A&M this year, playing A&M and beating A&M will be as much as fulfilling as you've ever felt for completely different reasons. But there's just no one that hates us more than A&M does. You can't convince me otherwise.
It's their birthright.
I'm happy to have that game back, and it has me thinking. Just you mentioned Houston, Drew, and how proximity to College Station creates a lot of affinity for the Aggies in Houston. But then you kind of bounce all over the place. Justin, in East Texas, you have fans who, again, this is a rivalry that extends beyond alumni and stuff like that. It gets just people in this state, and I'm sure East Texas is split. Dallas has a split. Austin, of course, is going to lean a certain direction. South Texas is going to lean a certain direction. But it's always really interesting to just see who just finds themselves rooting for one side of the rivalry or another. So it's always fun. I can't wait to go see College Station this year. The thing is, last time the Longhorns played there, held about 83,000. Now it holds about 110, so it should be a lot of fun. Got some super chats in here. Thank y'all for getting to them. UT Parking saw this one, so thank you for attaching the super chat to it. Will the state of Texas emulate Missouri and pass legislation that allows high school kids to get paid while in high school if they commit to an in-state school?
Nope.
There are a few differences between Missouri and the state of Texas. I think Mizzou's the only FBS program, right? I know they have like Southeast Missouri and maybe something else, but like that's the one FBS program. That's the place where they know they can get guys like Luther Burden with these laws as a result. And Williams, Nawari. I mean, Ryan Wingo probably got this pitch. If you do this, it probably creates a whole world of just an entirely different set of issues in the Wild West. And, as we know, 2025 will be a legislature year. Maybe somebody proposes it.
Dr. Breitbart is not having it. As long as he's the president of the UIL, it is not having it on his watch. He's out. Someone else comes in. That's another argument. But right now, people I know that guy really well, not happening.
I feel like it's the same way. The UIL doesn't want to have to deal with this. High school football coaches,
they have enough problems with kids moving for athletic purposes. When you tattoo an agent and a program on the come up, stacking kids, it changes everything. And so I hope they don't long term. I think at some point they will, but I'm thinking I'm going to be really old. My son will be an adult. It'll be a conversation with his kids.
Your son may benefit from UIL. Got a good one again from another diehard in the comments. That's Hi, Boo Corrigan. Had the pleasure of meeting him in person not too long ago. One of the Alamo City's finest. Who's a player on this Texas team who y'all think could raise their draft stock this season? Justin, you had someone come to mind right away. Who you got?
DJ Campbell. I'm telling you right now, if DJ Campbell does what he's supposed to do, that kid might get drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. He has that mindset right now. He's watched Christian Jones, and he's seen the recipe how to do it. And I think he is destined for a big year. So give me DJ Campbell, right guard. I think Texas is going to miss that kid, but I can't wait to see what he does in his junior year.
Yeah, he's crazy if he leaves after a 4th or 5th round draft pick. Because he'll be a 2nd round draft pick, maybe 1st round if he comes back.
I thought that too, but I think they're going to ding him for his height, and I think his reach is okay. But I keep hearing that they might ding him for his height.
His reach is 33.5. I'm pretty sure he's okay there. Give me Vernon Broughton, because he's way more off the radar than a lot of people just because he hasn't played as much. But his first couple steps are elite. I think he's going to play with better lower body strength, better center of gravity. I expect him to have a really good year. Everybody's really high on him, and playing next to Alfred Collins is going to help out Alfred and vice versa. So Alfred's another one that's going to raise his stock too. But give me Vernon Broughton, because not a lot of people are talking about him, and I'm pot committed. I'm out on a limb for him to play well this season. I'm curious to see how it's going to go.
Drew, anybody come to mind for you?
Gunnar Helm. Is he going to be a 1st round draft pick? No, but I think we actually get to see what he brings to the table and what makes him a prospect. I mean, I could have named several other guys that are in that position. Barron Sorrell is who comes to mind right now. He just flies way too far on the radar. But as far as a guy who has sat behind another guy, we've seen this happen before, and you see him come in, you'll be shocked at the complete body of work he's able to put on film. He just plays that role that I think is going to raise what we previously thought was not an NFL level, or just to that extent. I think he's going to shock some people this year as far as his ability to just do that job. And Juan Davis will be in the mix and everything else, but we'll feel different about Gunnar Helm and Barron Sorrell by the end of this year.
I think I'm going to ignore Quinn for this conversation. We all know he would have been a very, very early round pick last year, probably round 2 at the latest, just because we see the runs on quarterbacks. But I mean, he's one answer. I'll go Jaden Blue. I think that running back room, they see what 1 year can do for you. Like Bijan Robinson was the number 8 overall pick because he had 3 straight years of high quality production. Jonathan Brooks had 1 year and he was still running back 1 or running back 2 off the board coming off an injury. Like I think that room sees the motivation and sees like the opportunity in front of them. And I think Jaden Blue specifically, now that he went from running back 1B of sorts to running back 1, he knows that there's an opportunity for him to be making millions and millions of dollars in the coming months as a professional. So Boo Corrigan,
he's going to get the carries. Jaden's going to get the carries.
That's a really good question there, because we could really go down the roster. There's a lot of
you got to say Jahdae Barron playing corner more often. The whole reason he came back is to play corner and show the NFL that he wasn't just a nickel. They didn't move Jahdae to nickel because he couldn't play corner. They moved Jahdae to nickel because he could play corner, and they wanted a guy that was a corner athlete there. And so now he's back at he's going to play corner a whole lot more. I think he's going to start there with Muhammad, and he's going to showcase more corner ability so that he's going to, he'll be a more versatile draft pick. I think he's going to be gone by the 3rd round at the latest, but we'll see. He's just a playmaker. There's a lot of these guys. We've seen the way the staff develops over the years. There's somebody that we're barely even talking about that we should be talking about. We're not sure who that is, just because of the way they develop. Somebody's going to show up.
We had a good question, one of the earliest ones actually, and I think it comes from someone north of the Red River, but we appreciate you watching. Hope you had a good day today. Would someone explain UT has had 3 O-line drafted since 2009, but you said 17. How is UT even a premier O-line program? How is it Fasusi made a bad choice again? I don't think you're finding anybody in this quartet who said Fasusi made a bad choice. But Eric, you have some thoughts on parts of this question, and Justin, you have some other thoughts too. But Eric, what do you have?
I bet this guy is really big on political Twitter. He's trying to run. He's trying to run some stupid traps on us, putting words in everybody's mouth. First of all, it doesn't matter how many offensive linemen Texas had drafted since 2009. It matters how many they've had since 2021. None of those coaches were here prior. Buildings don't develop players, coaches do. You're dealing with Coach Flood right now. The amount of recruits that he's getting, top recruits, not only top recruits, but also projects with high upside, like Trevor Gooseby is going to get drafted. Brandon Baker's going to get drafted. Cameron Williams is going to get drafted. Kelvin Banks, of course, is going to get drafted. Jake Majors has a chance to get drafted. You're talking about that's what's relevant and present. And because they have that deep of a bench, they didn't go all in on Michael Fasusi because Michael Fasusi would have to sit for a year or two, and they didn't want that capital sitting on the bench in the new age of college football. It has nothing against Michael Fasusi. They love him. He was their top target at offensive line. OU did a terrific job recruiting him, but Texas had to make a financial decision. Let's pick up this conversation, Ryan McKinney, next year on John Turntime when Texas has a bigger need at left tackle.
And Justin, Eric talked about the financial position, but if you look at Oklahoma this year, one of their biggest questions is who's going to play O-line? And Michael Fasusi probably thinks he's the answer to that question starting in 2025.
Listen, as long as we got to know Michael Fasusi, and again, unbelievable kid. I am so happy for him. If you get to know him, you can't but be happy for him. He's such a good kid. He wants to play early. He does not want to sit on the bench. I remember him specifically asking me off the record questions about the depth chart at Texas, about who is where and what. He was paying attention to all of it. And at Oklahoma, Bill Beatonball's got he's got incredible skins on the wall. That guy has done some tremendous development. But right now, I don't know who's where or what on that O-line. They've brought in so many guys from the portal. I'm not even sure who's starting and where. And so Fasusi sees he wants to play early. It's simple as that. Kyle Flood's not going to promise him early playing time. Is he going to work for it? Brandon Baker behind Trevor Gooseby. You're going to beat those guys. Where at Oklahoma, he's got a path immediately. And what'll be interesting is if he does sign and winds up going to Oklahoma, when they bring in a left tackle out of the portal in February. And then Michael's like, wait a minute. How'd this work? Yeah. Because that's how college football works. So just be careful with what you pick because you never know.
I think this is a good rationale, again, from a buddy UT Parking. Not salty on missing Fasusi, considering there's Trevor Gooseby, there's Brandon Baker, Andre Kojo. Those guys are all fresh on campus, big and talented humans. And the Longhorns, as our own Charlie Williams wrote over on Inside Texas, this class has tackles in it. They have guys who can play at that position. They're obviously still going to look for John Turntime. They look good for Nick Brooks, Justin, as you've written about. And that's recruitment we need to get ready for in the coming days. But it's a good win for Oklahoma, but it doesn't mean that, Texas is just in shambles or anything like that. It is a good win for Oklahoma and one to, tip your cap to him. That's about it. Trying to go through some more questions. And again, Ryan McKinney, thank you for coming down south of the Red River.
Let me tackle the Jakeem Stewart one when you want to.
I was going to that one next. Are you ready for this one?
Sure.
One of the best players in the country.
Easiest question of the day. No. Texas would love to have Jakeem Stewart. So would all the other 127 Division I programs.
Well, the answer is yes. He is a top target for Texas.
Okay.
So are you saying he's not a top target or he is?
I view a top target as gettable.
Okay.
He ain't gettable.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying he's gettable, but I don't know. What's going to be the deciding factor in that recruitment?
Pulling him out of Louisiana with that bread.
Wrong.
The bread. The
bread. Trying to pull him out of Louisiana with that bread.
Okay, well, LSU's not exactly rolling in cash over there. That's why their defensive tackle room looks the way it does. We'll see. I would say he's a top target for Texas, like he is for a lot of schools. I'm not saying he's going to go to Texas.
That's what I meant about 127 other Division I programs. He's going to be a top target on everybody's board. I'm just looking at it from a realistic standpoint. I don't want to lead our man John on. At the same time, Jakeem Stewart, hell, we heard about him possibly reclassifying. There's so much that came out of his recruitment so far. That's a lot of muddy water. That's why I think LSU is like the default there.
I wonder if DJ Augustin can help out for a St. Aug kid, but that may be asking a little too much. Speaking of defensive line, Justin, any updates on the two interior D-line offers they offered? An Arkansas commit, a Florida commit. We should have something as soon as tomorrow over on Inside Texas about the Arkansas offer. I'm blanking on his name right now. But
Caleb
Justin,
Bell.
what have you got on those two guys?
Yeah, we got Charlie's going to have something on Caleb Bell. Texas has got a shot there. I think Georgia's taking a swing there as well, so be cautious. And then there's the one kid that's committed to Florida that I can't pronounce his name, and I'm not going to butcher it on live YouTube. He actually hit me up today and said his offer came in the mail today. And so he's excited, and he's trying to schedule a visit sometime this fall for a game. He's never been to Austin. It's something he wants to try. It's in the early stages, but this is how these are contingencies, and that's how you do it. You start to build out the relationship. You get him on campus, and you go from there. And I think Kenny Baker's going into an area that he's familiar with. He's going in the state of Georgia in the Southeast region. He knows a lot of those guys there. But you're going to be battling some dudes. I think Braxton Kyle's a guy, if they get him on campus. That's a guy they really like. That's another D-line offer. I wouldn't be surprised if they offered a handful of other guys just to see what the temperature of the water is with some of these dudes. But it's going to be interesting because they still need 4 guys. They've got 1 in the class. They're still, flirting with a handful of other ones. The D-line recruiting is the one position where we just don't know yet. Things got to play out.
Things got to play out. That's why big years for Sweat.
From my perspective, these appear to be strategic targets. And that look at the programs. And if those programs have shaky seasons, you get players on campus during our season, it makes a difference. And so you want to be, if you evaluate some of these players and they're going somewhere where maybe the depth chart isn't necessarily right, or some feedback from camp that things are going better for some players ahead of them, or you just think, what, they're going to waver. They're going to have some cold feet at some point throughout the season. I want to be right where we need, just in case we need it. These are the recruitments you get.
And give Jackson Blackwell.
One of my big regrets from last year was not putting an RPM for Wardell Mack after Utah smashed Florida in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Now, I was even talking with somebody at Texas. I said, man, I'm so close to doing it. I didn't do it. Yeah, whatever. But I think obviously they're strategic in that vein. Napier's on thin ice. Pittman's in trouble as well. Texas can also help its own cause against both those teams.
And they're looking at they're continuing to talk with Jackson Blackwell, the Baylor commit out of Lorena. That's a kid that if you see an offer come out to that kid, I think a flip would be around the corner.
I'm excited to see what I think Wardell Mack's going to be pretty big special teams contributor, big part of what they do. And I think that's where we see guys set themselves up for big standard down years. So moving right along with more recruiting, Manuel Soto, friend of ours on here pretty often. Confidence level on Texas landing any of the following. Any of the following, that may not be the right word, with Jamie French, Jonah Williams, Nick Brooks, and Michael Terry III. Eric, you wanted to tackle this one?
No, I don't care. Just, I think it's time we need to talk about Jonah Williams. Is all I was saying. We had a question up there earlier discussing Deshaun Elliott and Jonah Williams, seeing if Jonah could play a role like Deshaun. I think, Jonah, and I'll get back to the recruiting aspect of it. Jonah could play anything in the secondary pretty much. I mean, he's extremely athletic. He can also, I know people down in Galveston that think he's a better wide receiver prospect than he is a DB, which that just gives you an idea of his athleticism and ball skills. But any of the safeties, you can even go big nickel with him if you want to. Just a wonderfully talented guy. Texas leads for that kid right now. They're still, Saturday at 6:30 is a long way away in recruiting time. It's kind of like Christmas. We don't know if there's coal in the stocking or the thing that the reason you were good all year is going to be under the tree. But right now, Texas leads for Jonah Williams. There's no doubt about that. They still got to get it over the line. French, Brooks, Reed inside Texas. You know how those are going. Michael Terry, maybe a little work left to do, but I feel good there. I mean, Texas has a chance to get 4 4-stars this month. None of them over 215 pounds. Khalid Lockett, French, and Jonah Williams, and Michael Terry. And then Brooks, of course, would be that offensive tackle that takes Fasusi's place in this class. So Texas should, and anytime you do a parlay, obviously things go haywire. That's why you should never bet on parlays. Individually, Texas leads for all those guys. Now, the probabilities get involved. Will they pull it off? Remains to be seen. But right now, Texas leads for each of those 4.
Before we get going, Justin, anything you want to add on this crew?
I think Eric tackled that one pretty well. You got to come to Inside Texas. We talk about these guys on a regular basis. And so he nailed it with Jonah Williams on the Christmas aspect. Saturday feels like 3 weeks. It's 3 days, Eric. It feels like 3 weeks away.
One person who won't leave coal, or one company that will not leave coal in your stocking, under your tree, anything like that, that is Luxe Kitchen and Bath. They are where quality meets luxury. If you're looking to get a home redesign, bathroom redesign of your dreams in the Central Texas area, give Luxe Kitchen and Bath a call. As you can see right now, $18.99 off of remodels. So go to Luxe Kitchen Bath, LUXE kitchenbath.com, or give them a call, 833-358-LUX. Great reviews on Facebook. Better Business Bureau loves them. You're going to want to give Luxe Kitchen and Bath a call. Great friend of Inside Texas. We appreciate them. You will appreciate them as well. Got to go to our guy, Brett Nelson, who always brings the high quality super chats. And maybe we can turn this into some different discussion. But Drew, I'm going to throw this one your way. If the Longhorns beat Georgia, the Bulldogs might not make it to Atlanta with their schedule. Bama, at Ole Miss. They have to play Auburn at home. They open the year with Clemson, though that's not a conference game. Like, I've kind of started to go through maybe playoff possibilities, and it's hard for me to think against Georgia. But of all the contenders in the SEC, when you think of Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, you can throw Tennessee in there, but just for the conversation, those four, they don't all play each other. Texas misses Bama and Ole Miss. I'm not sure if Ole Miss plays Bama. Can't remember or not. Georgia has to play all four of them. So if they make it to Atlanta, man, that is a worthy participant in the title game. But that is a tough slate to get through in order to make it to the SEC championship once again for the Bulldogs.
Whether we beat them or not, I don't think they make it unscathed, and I think that it's still a high chance of them not making it to Atlanta. But if we beat them, I'm not sure they make it to Atlanta. I personally, I'm not counting out Bama. I mean, at the end of the day, Kalen DeBoer, I mean, this is the same coach that beat Oregon twice last year. This is the same coach who, I mean, a quarterback who came back rehabilitated. And I'm not saying they're the same quarterbacks, but Jalen Milroe is an athlete. He is scary. He's one of the scariest quarterbacks in this league, and I'm happy we don't have to play him this year. But Kalen DeBoer is a damn good coach. Playing them at home, getting Georgia, the schedule does not line up. So if there was a team that I said that I think has the most resistance as far as a road to a conference championship that everyone is picking, Georgia's that team. And if they were the least likely to fall out of the championship game, I pick Georgia. That's just it's going to be tough, man. Got to just see it for what it is.
I think Milroe's a dark horse for the Heisman. I mean, nobody's really talking about that. We were saying this in a group chat not too long ago. Kalen DeBoer is too good offensively. He's not going to go out there and ask him to be Michael Penix, but he can still hit that deep ball. He's got a really good deep ball. I think Milroe's going to run all over people too this year. I think he's a dark horse to at least be in New York.
The other thing with Georgia is you look around those teams, maybe not Ole Miss, because I don't know their quarterback situation off the top of my head. But Bama still has – but after Dart. Bama's got obviously Milroe.
Ty Simpson,
and then they have Ty Simpson. Texas obviously has Arch. If something happens to Carson Beck, like it's the kid who transferred in from Arizona State who wants Billy Napier's money, right? Like Jaden Rashada. That's not maybe someone who, I mean, granted, there's a lot of talent around him, but the step down from Carson Beck to Jaden Rashada is massive, and I think a lot bigger than maybe the step down from Quinn to Arch, and then obviously Milroe to Simpson. I can't remember who the backup is at Ole Miss, but if Dart goes down, then that season is coming unraveled. Justin, on number 2, do you see Dia Bell becoming a big recruiter for the 2026 class?
I don't know if he's going to be a big recruiter, but I think he's going to recruit off of stature. I was actually talking to one of the Texas commits today for the 2025 class, and he actually mentioned Dia Bell and was asking about him because Dia doesn't say a whole lot. Dia's actually kind of a quiet dude, and I think he's going to have to come out of his shell a little bit. It's early. He's the junior quarterback in that 2026, in this cycle of class. And so I I don't know how big of a recruiter he is, but he's the number 2, 3 quarterback in the nation. I think just the idea of getting to play with him is going to be appealing to a lot of guys, but I don't know how big that's going to be. A lot of times, if you get the guy in state, it kind of has an overlap with a lot of your top targets in state. So that would be kind of a bell cow type of deal. But with him being in Florida and it's a national thing, I don't know how big of a recruiter he's going to be. He'll be good. I just don't know to what extent.
Drew, who was the biggest guy in your class from out of state? And granted, that was before y'all had these, a little bit tougher, but how tough was it to maybe get involved with that guy, especially compared to now when, we can get Diabell on the phone. Diabell can get, Chris Stewart on the phone. Like who was that guy in your class?
I'm like, damn, who came from
Brian Pickrell.
No. I was in the class of Jordan Shipley. Let's see, who was in our class that was out of state? Jordan Shipley.
They didn't recruit out. They hardly recruited out of state under Mac.
Hardly recruited out of state.
That's true.
We had a commitment.
That's why I threw out Pickrell.
We had a fullback in my class.
Michael Houston. He was out of Colorado.
No, he was the year after me.
Dang.
There was a fullback who was in my year who was from out of state, and he was from Louisiana. And then he ended up going back to LSU. He decommitted and
Jacob Hester?
Yeah, was it Hester? Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob Hester actually has a Longhorn
tattoo. Yeah.
He became a player. He became a team an LSU favorite amongst those guys.
Yeah.
He actually played the league for a minute, and I think he's got a podcast, an SEC podcast.
I think he's on the XM College Sports Station.
There you go. That's what it is.
So Meathead Radio.
That's when Mac Brown would dip his toe out of the state, but it wouldn't be far. It would be Shreveport in Evangel Christian Academy. Yeah. That's as far as he was going to dip that toe.
I like this one. Glad you grabbed that one.
Parallel the next
Geiger, however you want to say it.
Victor Santiago, been wanting to ask this one. First to win a national championship, is it Sark or Kalen DeBoer? Eric, Sark. You highlighted this one.
Yeah, it's Sark unless he plays Kalen DeBoer. Then it's Kalen DeBoer. I'm just kidding.
I think.
Hey man, Sark's 0-2 against them.
Right there.
Sark's 0-2 against them, so I had to throw that jab out there.
Tell Chris Bennett, Myron Hardy was from Austin.
I think it's Sark. I do think it's Sark, and the reason is he's got a 3-year runway with Quinn and Arch Manning, and that's like a huge part of it. Now, Jalen Milroe, I do think Milroe can win a national champion this year. I just don't know if they have all the infrastructure they once did. Losing Bonhurt, they lost a lot on defense last year. Texas is in a better position this year, and because they've got Arch the next couple of years. But he took his quarterback Austin Mack with him from Washington, so that's going to help him in the coming years as well. But I think I like Texas on the strength that they have that 3-year runway of Ewers and Manning.
I think everybody on this screen likes Kalen DeBoer. We've gotten to see a lot of him up close and personal. I mean,
I don't want to see him.
Kane Womack is going to be what defines that tenure. If that guy can get the defenses up to snuff, because we know Kalen DeBoer is never going to lack for offense. So we'll see what happens. Major Applewhite's a head coach now because Kane Womack wanted to be the defensive coordinator leaving South Al. So I'm curious to see how he uses the toys he has available. I like this one. It's almost time to start getting some betting lines in. Not sure where this is from, but Scotty B. Texas is a 33.5-point favorite against Colorado State. I mean, if it's 33.5, I'm thinking Texas there. Justin, what do you think?
I don't know, man. The Fighting Jay Norvells, Armani Winfield, the comeback tour. Actually, you know what's funny? They've got a good quarterback.
They've got a good receiver.
And that's where it starts. And I think that's kind of where it ends.
I've got a weird in on that program. And they think they're going to be able to throw the ball all around Texas.
Yes.
So I disagree with that. I don't, you can't. Teams change from year to year, especially in college football. You had Andrew Makuba. If you got Barron at corner and Muhammad at corner, that's better than what they had last year. So I'm not sure I would be too confident if I were them. But the big question here is just Sark. Is he all gas, or is he kind of on the brakes? Is he tapping the brakes a little bit? He's going to be vanilla. We know that. He's going to play a deep bench. We know that. What do you got, Drew?
guys, I don't know what you bet for. I don't know if you're betting just a bet or not, but don't mess with 33.5. Just go whatever the first half line is. Take that. Texas should start fast. They should start with authority. They should start physical. They should start with enough cushion to hit whatever first half line that is. So if that's 17.5, which is probably about what it will be. I mean, that's where you can trust Sark is going to have the foot on the gas.
That's a man who knows his gambling.
His answer sounds like it. Joe,
if you're talking first half line,
Texas minus 33. I think that's the over under, isn't it?
No, there was I think Scott B had another comment about the over under. If that's the over under,
I'm taking.
I know it says over under, but there's no way that's over.
Well, there's a dash. There's the dash next to it, like it's giving up 33.5.
Yeah,
right.
I can't.
I think
the over unders. It's got to be 60.
Maybe in the 50s.
No, I mean even further than that. I think it's 60 something. I don't know about that one. If it's 33.5, I would take Texas. But if we're getting to 35 or so, I'm trying to maybe avoid that. Thank you for that one.
Does Drew work for a sports book?
Texas's team total will probably be like 24.5 the first half. You'll have to risk something on that, but yeah, first half is when you want to trust Texas to do anything. You don't want to be.
Is your cell phone a 1-900 number, Drew? Did I not?
No, who wants to be sweating in the fourth quarter of a game that we're blowing out? That's degenerate stuff. Games like this, you trust your team's going to show up and beat out of the team when it's 100 degrees outside and they're Colorado State. Like, that's what you expect.
It's altitude.
Jay Norvell's coming for revenge, guys. He is still pissed that Texas missed that extra point after he put Gerard Hurd on the statistical all-time chart for the Horns. Norvell's coming. He's bringing hell, guys. Y'all better be ready.
Man, I think Jay Norvell had a press conference during that cruddy 2015, and that was one of the first things I did for y'all was nobody was able to go, and I cut class and went to go cover Jay Norvell talking about, we might play Kyle Loxley. And I was just like, what are we doing here?
Ooh, man.
So, yeah, we've come a long way, haven't we, guys? Eric, I like this one where Murphy and Sweat talked about being as good as they were before last year's season. I think we expected that Murphy and Sweat could make a jump, but it wasn't. I think it was about this point where it's just like the offense can't run that much right now.
Yeah.
It's because
Sweat
of these
was
guys.
killing people. Literally.
We knew Murphy wanted to leave early, and we knew that he was optimistic he was going to have a good year, and we knew that he was a beast and hard to block. We hadn't seen enough of him to do it, to know that he was going to do it consistently throughout all 14 games, but we knew he had the talent. Tavondre, we knew he had the talent too. We've been talking about him forever. I was celebrating like crazy when he decided to come back, but I had no idea he was going to be the Outland Trophy winner. I'll tell you what, that first game against Rice when it was 120 degrees on the field and he was playing with his hair on fire, that really caught my attention. I started feeling really good about him after being able to put my own eyes on it. And I had a source in August. I didn't really share it because I was like, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I might get laughed off the internet for saying it. But he said he felt we had the best defensive line in the country. And I wouldn't say they had the best defensive line overall, but they had the best defensive tackle tandem in the country. So
interior.
And that guy's feeling really good about the defensive line again this year. So, we didn't know that they were going to be that good. No, but we knew that they had the ability to be very good.
I think when I think of that, somebody put it this way on a podcast I listened to. Those dudes typically wear crimson and have the number on their side of their helmets at Alabama. And now those guys are starting to be more and more at Texas. Like that's the easiest way to illustrate, I think, what Murphy and Sweat did last year. People who most college football fans associate with being at other programs, especially over the past 10 years, that's who Murphy and Sweat was at Texas. Justin, I'm going to throw this one your way. I think this one. Go ahead.
I'll say just one thing real quick on Murphy and Sweat that's being underplayed. I know Bo Davis left, but people are totally undervaluing the importance of Torrey Beckton, strength and conditioning. For Tavondre Sweat to be able to convince NFL teams that at his size, he could be drafted as high as he could. Byron Murphy to not lose a step, to actually – he came in as one of the strongest guys on the team.
Yes.
And he continued to improve and hone his game and develop and play multiple snaps. We weren't rotating as much as I think we'll need to, maybe so much as much this year. But those guys played a ton of snaps for us. They played elite snaps, and conditioning and strength has so much to do with that. And so while I understand we lost our defensive line coach, but when you talk about development, you cannot forget that core part of what development looks like. And it really starts with Torrey Beck and everything they're doing in the offseason to prep these guys to be great during the season. I think Vernon Broughton is going to be another year and another person who is going to show, like, oh, damn, another year in the program, another year getting stronger, another year learning the defense, another year learning the technicals, another year being a leader, another year of just being a grown man. This Vernon Broughton
is married.
So you got to think about this: grown men playing defensive tackle who are, I mean, they're already huge. And you cannot understate what development takes place when guys just buy in, commit to it, regardless of the coach is. I think Texas has a great story to sell in that regard, regardless of Bo Davis being gone. And I think it's going to be a great year for Kenny Baker to show what he can do with guys who look at the portal. No one expected Texas to be able to play well at DT this year. They brought in guys to replace these guys. I just think you have grown men across the D line right now who are all there to prove a point. Some that they didn't need to portal guys in, and others that, hey, they portal us in for a reason. So I think we're in a really good position, both recruiting, development, everything else when it comes to DT, and it'll be understated this season going in.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you to the Lando Show. If you've seen a bunch of the great reels over on Inside Texas, a lot of that comes from him. Over on TikTok, I think it is inside.texas. Also, the Lando Show. He's got a bunch of great stuff. So thank you for that, Lando. Go check him out. He's been helping us a lot over on IT. Justin, got to take it to East Texas. We need to be all in on Ball. I know there's still a lot of options at running back in 2026, but is this a guy that you feel like Texas should and will continue to recruit?
Texas is still recruiting him. They're still on him. He committed so early. It's just one of those things where you just got to kind of let that thing play out. I think right now, though, Texas has their eyes on two guys they really love: Javion Osborne out of Forney and Amari Latimer out of Sandy Creek, Georgia. I think those are the Thunder and Lightning, the two that Texas really has kind of prioritized. They're going to stay on KJ Edwards in Carthage. They're going to stay on Racine Guillory, actually, in Aledo. They still talk to him, and they're still going to talk to Tredarian Ball. But right now, he's latched on with the Oregon Ducks. Do I think he sticks with that commitment? Man, that's I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't know. That happened real fast, real early. I think they're going to continue to recruit Ball. Ball has really transformed himself. When he ran a 10.5 last year, or in the spring, man, I'm like, okay, we need to – this needs to be a higher priority. Oregon swooped in and kind of won him over. Rashad Samples gets a lot of credit for that recruitment. But, yeah, I think Javion Osborne and Amari Latimer are the two. If you're a Texas fan, those are the guys, if I was following it, I would focus on.
Yeah, we missed Tredarian. He used to chime in. And for those who know, that's Tredarian Ball. A lot of people aren't up on 2026 recruiting yet.
Yeah, man, we need to get him back get him back in the comment section because it was always
nothing else to irk Oregon fans.
I like this one. You've written about this one a lot, Eric, over at Inside Texas, but projected secondary starters against Colorado State. I'm going to guess Colorado State's an air raid team. That means the Longhorns are probably going to be in nickel personnel. So do you have what you think will be the fivesome out there when Colorado State takes the field?
Victor still hasn't signed up to Inside Texas, I can tell. Today Barron at boundary, Malik Muhammad at field, Jalen Gilbo at star, Michael Taft at boundary safety, and Andrew Makuba at field safety is my personal projection. We talk about this all the damn time. We've got, most of our readers can put together a really, really credible 2D based on our reporting over on nITe.
They really can, Eric. It's impressive.
I know we might miss some 3-deep stuff in some places. You can go 3-deep in the secondary too.
Should be a lot of fun. Last one, I think, before we get out of here. Thank you all for joining here on Wednesday night. 45 great minutes. Going to have some great stuff here on this channel this week that you're going to want to check out. In addition to our normal shows, we're going to have some great updates and announcements here coming soon. But this one, from C. Gaddis. Justin, I'll throw this one your way. Do you think the presence of John Turntine in the 2026 class softens losing Fasusi for Flood? They got to get him, but I think you can look at the 2025 class again. We talked about how they have tackles. There are tackles in this class, but they can still prioritize the hell out of Fasusi in the next, or excuse me, out of Turntine in the next cycle as well.
Yeah, if I was of this young generation, I would post an emoji that says 100, because that's where the focus is going to go, is on John Turntine. Texas has been tremendous in that recruitment. And it's not going to be like the Fasusi one. Michael loved taking trips. Like, he loved going all over the place. I think Turntine's kind of like a little bit more of a homebody. I think he likes being closer to home, closer to his family. So the presence of Turntine, if he does jump into the Texas class, I do think I have an RPM. I think we may have a couple RPMs for Texas to land him, a top 10 player in the country. Absolutely, it softens it, because losing Fasusi does sting, but they prioritized this class. And so for 2026, Turntine is going to be that guy. So absolutely. We do have to say, bring up the UT parking. You can't, there's no Michael Taft slander allowed.
I think everybody,
if he wasn't as good
as
he was, he wouldn't be on the field all the time.
Well, I'm just curious, who said he was better at coverage than Derek Williams? Who said that? Nobody said that.
Not Derek Williams.
Playing safety is a whole lot more than individual man coverage, especially what are they going to do in the boundary this year, UT parking? It's not, Michael Taft is going to have a set role designed to sort of make up for some of the deficiencies they have in the new defense. They're going to have to tweak the defense. They can't just rely on two defensive tackles, stopping the run almost single-handedly. But nobody's saying that Taft is better than Derek Williams in coverage, but there's a whole lot more that goes into safety. Nobody's even saying he's more talented than Derek Williams. There's a lot that goes into safety in any of those cerebral positions. It's not just pure athleticism.
These are great problems to have. Like I said, a lot different than when Jay Norvell was figuring out whether he was going to play Kai Loxley or not back in 2015. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcast, please go ahead and give us a 5-star review wherever you are listening. And of course, head to InsideTexas.com. We got great practice reports. We will have insider reports throughout the season. Great game coverage, great post-game coverage, great everything. And, of course, we have a lot of big recruiting decisions here in the next 9 or so days that you're going to want to pay attention to and get all the latest info on. So head to Inside Texas, sign up, join thousands of diehard Longhorn fans for the best place to talk Longhorn football. Drew, Eric, Justin, thank y'all so much.
He just dug a deeper hole.
We'll bring this up next time, but thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.